Yeah, okay. I can remember to start recording.
Yeah. Hi guys. Thank you for coming out today for, I think, week 6 of Hack School. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, yeah. So today we're gonna be my name is Neha, and today we're gonna be going over navigation. So this is our QR code to sign in for our meeting. If you guys want, I'll leave it up for like 30 seconds if you guys want to fill it out. And then okay, and then this is our member is wait, Azel, is this our membership code for this week? Okay, maybe I think this is our membership code, except not 5. It should be 6. Yeah. Okay, let me know if that works, or if it doesn't, just let us know if it doesn't work actually. Yeah, cool. Okay. Okay, yeah. So as I said, today we're gonna be going over navigation. A quick note, we recommend not coding along during this workshop. We'll have like a 5-minute checkpoint in the middle, and we'll also have some work time afterwards if you guys want to work on your projects. We have our officers here if you have any questions, and these slides will also be available for reference, and the demo will also be available on GitHub. And I think all these links should be posted on our Discord yeah, they should be posted on our Discord. Okay, and also if you want, I don't think the code for today has been pushed to the GitHub yet, but I'll add it after today's meeting. And then yeah, but this is the QR code to the GitHub and today's slides also. And this will also be like in the slides posted on the Discord if you guys want to access it later. Okay. Okay, so we can begin by just doing like a really quick recap of some of the things we've learned so far. So in our first meeting in our first meeting of Hackschool, we went over HTML and CSS, which is how you structure a web page and style it. Then we went over using TypeScript to add interactivity and functionality to our sites. And then we went over React during our third meeting to learn how to create reusable and customizable components. And then last week, we went over events and states to be able to handle and keep track of user interactions. And then again, this week, we're going to be learning how to link together multiple pages using navigation. Okay, so this is kind of where we left off last week. We have our 2 components here, and we had a like button on each of them, which we were able to click on and update the like count. But when we look at the code, we can see here our 2 components for Hackschool and the Garfield picture are all wrapped inside of our app.tsx file inside our single return statement. So right now, kind of, we just have one single page where all of our things are being displayed on. But this can be a problem but this can be a problem because if you want to host like lots of different things, maybe like in different categories and you want to split them up, right now, kind of using the skills we've learned so far, the only way we know how to do it is keeping it all on one page. But this can get kind of cluttered if you have a lot of information you want to show on your site, and yeah. Okay, so our solution for today and just some motivation is for navigation, as we mentioned before, is creating multiple pages to be able to kind of have different kinds of information that we want to have on for each page. And navigation allows us to jump between these different pages that we want this information to be on. And this navigation is used on pretty much every like big site that you've gone on. On the UCLA site, we have like this little bar here with these different with like classes, academics, and staff. If you click on them, they'll reroute you to the different pages where that information is on. On our Hackschool, on our Hack website, we also have a nav bar here where we have our different buttons for each of our different pages, and also on this Abercrombie and Fitch page as well. So basically, the general idea is navigation is used in almost all and every kind of website that you have probably seen before. So yeah. Okay, so going a little bit more into what navigation is. Website navigation is a collection of user interface components that helps visitors find content and features on a site. And these components usually come in the form of a nav bar or maybe a link or buttons or menus. And so the way we're going to be integrating navigation into our site today is using the React router library. So the core React library that we've currently been using doesn't come with a page routing mechanism by default. So we're going to use an additional library called React Router, which is built on top of React, which will enable us to be able to use navigation and use the things and routing mechanisms required to be able to link multiple pages together. Yeah. And yeah. And also just one more cool thing about React Router is instead of reloading the entire page, React Router is going to be able to dynamically update the URL. And every time it changes, it's only going to render the necessary components that we need for each site that we go to kind of create a smooth experience. And then I think once we start coding it, it'll kind of make more sense how based on like how the URL changes, React Router is able to change the components displayed on our site. Yeah. Okay, and also if anyone has any questions or anything, just like raise your hand and let me know to stop me. And if I'm going too fast or anything, also just let me know and I'll slow down. But yeah. Okay, so our first step is in whatever project that you're working in, we're going to go to our terminal and we're going to run npm install react router DOM. Okay, so for me, I'm going to do npm react, okay, npm install react router. Okay, and I think if you get something like that looks like this, it means that you have it done. And then also, I'll just show you real quick, kind of the demo that I'm going to be working towards building today. So this is the site that, because this is a workshop on navigation, I'm not really going to be going over too much about how to make these individual pages, but more for kind of if you've used all the skills we've learned before in Hackschool, like how to use CSS and styling and like components for these different things, and you have lots of different pages with this material on it. Then using that, we're just going to incorporate kind of making a nav bar on top of it to be able to hand multi-page routing. So this is just kind of what the end goal of today's workshop is going to look like. Yeah. Okay, but continuing on. Okay, so once we have React Router DOM installed, we're going to go into the current project folder that you're working in here into your src file here, and then wait, sorry, this is the correct one. Okay, yeah, we're going to go into our src folder in our project, and then create another folder called pages where we're going to store all of the different pages that we've been working on. So right now, you probably, based on like our previous workshops, have a majority of your code in app.tsx. And we're kind of just going to be making these new pages to migrate some of the information that we had here onto their own individual pages. So here I'm going to just click, oh, not new file, sorry, new folder, and name it pages. Okay. And then inside pages, I'm just going to add the different pages that I want for each of my for each of the, I'm just gonna add 3 TSX files or however many you want to represent each of the pages in my project. So I'm gonna go to pages, click on new file. I want to have a home page, so I'm gonna do home.tsx. I'm gonna have a food page. And I'm gonna have a page called cafe.tsx. Okay, cool. And then also, I'm gonna make a component where we're gonna be able to style and create our nav bar in. So I'm gonna go to our components folder and I'm gonna create a navbar.tsx file where I'm gonna write the code for the nav bar, which I'm gonna have on the top of each of my sites as well. Okay. So now moving on to how we're going to use React Router. First, let's go into our SRC folder into app.tsx, and we're going to import the following components from the library. For today, we're going to be using browser router, routes, and route. And before we import them, I'll just explain each of them briefly. So browser router is going to be kind of what we use to a browser router is going to be what we use to kind of wrap all of our components together, like all of our routes and route components inside of it. And it's just a easy way to do it and use. It's just an easy component to use in what you normally use for web development because it works well with your browser. And then routes is going to be our container for each of our individual routes is going to be a container for each of our individual routes, and each route is going to specify a route path. And yeah, I think it'll make more sense probably once we start working. But to set up our imports, we can go to app.tsx and import these 3 components from React Router. So going into app.tsx, I'm going to write import browser router routes and routes from React Router doc. Okay, cool. And then I'm also going to import each of my individual pages that I made earlier in our pages folder. And then also just a quick note, this is going to be like, if you're kind of confused about what this path means, the dot means like look in the current directory. So currently we're in the app, we're working, yeah. Oh yes. How do I make it bigger? Should I make it bigger? Okay. 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 Yeah. So just going back to kind of the path, currently we're working in app.tsx, which is in our SRC folder. So by writing this period in the beginning, we're just saying search in the current directory that we're in. So we want to search inside the SRC folder. And then inside the SRC folder, go to the pages folder. And then inside pages, go to each of these individual files, which are all here. So I'm just going to import all of them. Import homepage from import cafe from pages.cafe and import food from as well. Okay, cool. So And then after importing our pages, we also want to import the navbar component that we just made in the same way. So import navbar from pages.navbar. Oh, not pages, sorry, components. Okay, cool. Okay, so now that we have all the necessary library functionalities that and components we need imported into app.tsx, we're going to start using the different components that I mentioned, which are part of React Router, to create our actual routing system. So before I think so I'm just gonna erase what's currently in this return statement. And then okay, so first we're gonna start off by wrapping it in our larger component of browser router. And this basically and yeah, okay, so sorry, I mentioned browser router before, but just elaborating more on what it is. Basically, it's a component that's going to allow us to have a convenient and easy way to handle a lot of the client-side routing that we're doing on our site. And it kind of abstracts a lot of the more complex infrastructure that you need for routing and just wraps it up nicely into this library that we can use. And is really easy, and which makes it really easy to use for when you're like working on making different websites or web applications. Okay, so I'm gonna go back and browser router. Yes. Huh?
Which slide? I'm so sorry.
Oh, are the slides? Could you post our slides on the Discord? Yeah. Okay. I think we'll post them on the Discord right now. Okay, cool. And then now working inside of browser router, we're going to use our navbar component that we defined earlier and render it at the top of our app component to kind of provide consistent navigation across pages. And this is going to allow us for like on the site that I showed earlier, we had that consistent nav bar on the top of each of our pages. So this is just going to allow us to have that there. So nav bar. Okay. Okay, and then in my demo, I just added a little bit of styling. So I'm gonna import this styles line for a lot of the different routing things, but this is kind of optional. It's not really affecting any of the functionality of your pages, but if you want to add some different CSX, then you can. So I'm just gonna write div style equals styles. Oops. Okay, and then I'm just going to use some of the code I wrote for this styling earlier on and paste it here for our demo. But this is all optional. And you can kind of just using the CSS that we learned earlier, just like play around with like the background color or the padding that you want on your page. But that's completely optional. Okay. And then once we've defined the style that we're going to use, we're going to start defining each of our routes inside of our larger routes tag. So first I'm going to say routes, and this is just going to hold all, and routes is just another component which we're going to hold all of our individual each of our individual routes in. Yeah. Okay. And so for each route, we're going to assign a page. We're going to assign a page using route, and we're going to have two attributes for each one. First, we're going to have the path, which is going to be the URL. And then we're going to specify the element, which is the imported page component. So just doing this here, I'm going to define a route for each of the 3 pages that I made. So route, path, my homepage, I just want this to kind of be like the normal URL that I have. So I'm just going to have slash. So like when someone just first clicks onto my website for the first time and it has the base URL link, that's going to take me to my homepage. Okay, and then I'm just gonna do the same for the other 2 pages that I defined for cafes. I'm gonna do cafes. Oh, cafe. And then for food, I'm gonna do. Okay, and I think right now these 3 pages are showing up as red just because I haven't written anything inside of these, and like I haven't defined my component inside of them. I'm not really going to be going over too much about a lot of the code that I'm going to be using for these, just because it's kind of stuff that we've covered before in some of our previous workshops. But all of my code will also be posted on our GitHub if you want to look at it and see kind of how I defined each component and styled them as well. Yeah. Okay. 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 I think, yeah, we'll work on getting that up as well. But okay, cool. Just continuing on a little bit. Once we've defined kind of everything in our app.tsx file for our general routing, this is just specifying again kind of like where we want each of these slash URLs to go to. So if I run npm run dev and I open up this host website. Sorry, let me save all my pages real quick. Okay. Give me like 1 second to import some of the pictures in my demo. I think I didn't import them yet, so I'm getting an error. But give me just, or for now, okay, for now I'll use some of the images I have here and replace those. Sorry. Give me 1 sec. I'll use okay. Okay, I think that should solve the errors that we're having. And then, okay, just because I haven't defined navbar yet, I'm gonna comment this out for now. Okay. Okay, I'm having, let me see maybe if I have, because I also, okay, sorry. Momentary technical difficulties, but basically kind of using what we have right now, if you have three kind of pre-built sites as we did pre-built pages as we did before. So basically kind of what we did in app.tsx right now was just specify the paths and kind of what pages we wanted to link to. So right now our homepage is being linked to like our URL for when we just have a slash and nothing after, which is this. And then suppose if I want to go to my cafe page, then I just change this URL here to say cafe. Oh, cafes with an S. And then it's going to take me to my cafe page. And then if I write food, it's going to take me to my food page as well. Yeah. So, yeah, basically right now what we've done in app.txt is just be able to link these different URLs to our different pages. But now what we want to be able to do is also have like buttons on our pages, which we can click on, which will actually link to these sites. So we don't just have to change the URL manually, but like on our site, we're going to have somewhere that we can click on, which will then link to the page that we want to go to. So in order to do that, we're going to use the link component from React Router. And we're going to implement this. You can kind of implement this wherever you want to write like the CSS for and are like designing the UI for like whatever you want for your navigation mechanism. In our case for today, we're kind of making a navbar component to do this. So I'm going to go to my navbar.tsx file in the components folder, and then there write down, and then there used link component. So, okay, going to navbar.tsx. First, I'm going to import React. Then I'm going to import link. Okay. And then, so now that we've defined the link, inside of our file, we want to define a React functional component that we can use to then import to the other to our app.tsx file later. So to do that, we're going to make a functional component called navbar. And this is just like a side note here, but this react.fc just indicates that it's a functional component. And if you guys remember from our TypeScript session, basically TypeScript requires you to kind of define the type of every like data type, object, or structure that you're using to kind of avoid bugs. So here we're just defining it as a functional component. Okay, so going back to navbar.tsx, I'm going to do const navbar, define it as a functional component. Okay. Then inside of our component, I'm going to define the structure of using of wrapping it first within a larger navigation element using the nav tag. And this is just going to represent our container for holding all of this information. So I'm going to return nav. And then inside our nav element, I'm going to use a unordered list, which is going to serve as a container for each of our individual list items. I'll just write down the first one. And then for each list, I'm going to define our link component inside of it, which is going to navigate to the specified path that we kind of defined earlier in app.tsx. Whenever this little button on our website is going to be clicked. So inside this, I'll do link and then link to the specified URL and then home. Okay, and then just to see how this looks right now, I'm going to add this line here just to export our component out of this file. And then I'll do the same for the rest of the pages, cafes and food. And then I'm going to go back to app.tsx where I originally commented this stuff out and then uncomment it real quick. Okay, and then if we look on our site now, we have this list here, which kind of which can be used to, if we like click on this button, it'll take us to the different pages that we defined. Yeah. Okay, wait, let me see what is not. Okay, but yeah. But as you see here, if we go to our navbar component, this link is kind of related to like the name of the link or like the button we're writing here. So like home, cafes, and food are all the names that we defined here. And you can kind of define them as anything that you want. So yeah. And then going back to the slides. Yeah, okay, so we just went over this, but the link component navigates to the specified path when whatever this kind of name that we defined here is clicked. Okay, so I'm gonna have a quick 5-minute checkpoint to see like a little break, or if you have been trying to implement these things in your projects and you have any questions, just raise your hand and let me or one of the officers know, and we'll try our best to help you. But yeah, 5-minute break, and then we'll come back. And then in the meantime, I'm also gonna add the images that I actually wanted to the site so that it looks like the demo in the beginning. But yeah, okay, be back at like 6:40. Okay. for the recording also. Okay. But okay. Okay, so now we have like a technically like a functional nav bar, which is going to be able to connect our different pages together, but we still have a problem. And I'll show it to you guys right now. So here, if I go to my site and I go to like cafes here, and maybe I like add 7 likes, but then I go to another page and I come back, all of my likes have been reset to 0, and they're not really saved because we don't have any like backend database working with us to store this data. So if I click off the link and then come back, it's not saved and it just reverts back to 0. So basically a solution that we can use for this, generally if you want to make more of like a full stack website, you can integrate like a database in the back, but for our workshop series, we're more so focusing on the front end work of it. So instead, to be able to persist this data, we're going to use something called local storage. And local storage is a type of web storage that's going to allow our website to directly store data onto our users, onto like whichever laptop you're working on's browser. And it's a way of client-side data storage. So the data isn't really being sent back and forth to any server. It's just all locally being stored on your computer. And the data is also stored as strings and key value pairs. Okay, so as I mentioned, so just going over some more like logistics of some of the different functions that we can use with local storage when storing this data. As I mentioned before, local storage only supports strings, but a lot of our data, like as we saw with the like data, is numerical data, like being represented as integers. So we are going to be using JSON.toString and JSON.parseInt to be able to kind of convert our data back and forth from what it's displayed on and what we're kind of using and manipulating when we increment each like count to how it's actually being stored in our browser. And then also we have another function called setItem. And this is going to be for if you want to add kind of a new like data point to your storage, and also getItem, which is going to retrieve the value of whatever variable you want once it's already stored. Once it's already stored in your storage. Yeah. Okay, so in order to do this, I think last time Kaylin worked on making a greeting card component for our website. Today, I made kind of a place card component where I'm gonna have a lot of this, where I'm gonna be doing my coding and changing this up, because this is where I've defined each of the different components I'm using for the cafes and foods. So first, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a variable called storage key. And this is going to be used to store the like count that we have. And yeah, this is going to be used to store our like count. And this syntax might look a little bit weird to you, but basically this is going to guarantee that for each component we have a unique key name. So if we just had like a general, like if we named them all generally just like likes, like our website might get kind of confused with like which component that it's referring to. So in order to solve this issue, we're going to use the specified name of each component as specified here. And then like when we're using our components, like if I go to cafe, I specify name to be like, for this one, like Ministry of Coffee. So yeah, so just specifying the name for each variable. So like kava would be stored as likes dash kava. Okay, so going back here, I'm gonna write const storage key equals to, okay, equals to likes. And then this $sign, this $sign name notation kind of just is going to be used to reference like the name variable we have, but keep it inside of the same string. Okay. And then after this, we're going to create a use effect function where we're going to be kind of dealing with two main functionalities. One of it is for loading the data that we have. So when we first click on a page and a component is rendered for the first time, our use effect hook is going to load in our like count from local storage as its initial state. So that's going to be our first line here. Using the get item function that I mentioned earlier, we're going to get the value associated with the storage key variable that we just mentioned before. So basically, like if I'm working with my Kava component, it's going to be like get item for likes dash Kava. And then in our case, our key is like the name of our variable, and then our value is going to be the number of likes. So this function is going to return the number of likes that my Kava component has, and then it's going to store it in stored likes. And then we're going to check to see if stored likes is null. And if it's not null, then also, as I mentioned before, this line is just using that stored likes variable. And then because data is stored as strings originally in local storage, we're going to be using parse int. And this 10 just specifies that it's a decimal number to convert it from string to integer. And then we're going to use our set likes to, we're going to use our use state function set likes to update the number of likes we have. And then kind of what I've described before is the overall workflow for when your component is rendered for the first time. So like when I click onto that site and I want the information from like a previous use to come back onto it. But then suppose like I make a change, I also want that data to be stored back into my local storage. So for that, we're going to use something called a dependency array, which I've defined here as part of my use effect hook. So a dependency array, basically how it works is it keeps track of like whatever variable you have defined inside of it. So here I've defined storage key, and it's going to see whenever there's like a change to this variable, it's going to make sure that this effect is run. So whenever you like see a change to your like count, this dependency array is going to make sure that use effect is called, and it's going to update the data back into local storage. Okay, so I'm just gonna write down this code for use effect here real quick. Okay, my window is not big enough, but okay, cool. And then our last step in our handle like function that we defined last week, we're just gonna add one more line which is local storage dot set item using the other pair function that I kind of mentioned before. And this is just going to update, this is going to update our storage key to the new likes, to the new number of likes that we have whenever we increment it. And then again, because data is stored as a string, we're just going to use the toString function to convert it. Okay, right. Local storage. Okay, cool. And just a quick recap of, or actually first, let's look at our site, how this is working. So suppose I'm on cafes and I like it like 5 times. I click off and then I go back. I can see that now the like count that I previously added is stored and it remembers that I said 5 likes. And I can like do this for all of them. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay, so just a quick recap of like the overall workflow. So when our component first mounts, use effect runs and it checks our storage to see if there's an existing like count, and then it'll update it if it is, which means that we previously visited that site and updated it. Then once we're on our site and a user hits the like button, handle likes is incremented and we re-render our component and update it and update local storage with our new count. And that's what we're doing here in our handle like function. And then our persistence against storage is just because local storage persists data even after our browser is refreshed or closed, our count remains consistent. And then on the next visit, use effect retrieves the stored like count and ensures that our initial state matches what was saved. So yeah, okay, that was a lot, but that was it for today's workshop. We covered like navigation using React Router in the beginning, and then we went over how to persist data in a different way for just on your browser if you're not using a database. And all the code that we worked on from today in the slides will be, I think the slides are already posted, and I'll work on getting the code up onto the GitHub right after this. So yeah, now we just have work time if you guys want to work on your own websites or projects that you're working on and kind of want to try and integrate navigation or anything we learned into today. And yeah, thank you for coming. Thanks for coming. And if you have any questions or anything, just raise your hand and one of us will come and help you. But